Music festivals and fan conventions, art walks, author events, and reading parties. The next few months are amazing for arts and culture in the Seattle area. And every week, KUOW's Arts and Culture podcast, Meet Me Here, will give you the inside scoop. From inspired recommendations to surprising chats with artists, you'll discover what's truly special about Seattle's creative communities. Listen to Meet Me Here on the KUOW app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, it's Monica.
And Joshua.
Every week, you tune into Booming to learn something new about how the economy affects you.
Think back to the episodes that stuck with you. Maybe it was our reporting on the state that made childcare free, New Mexico, or our interview about the race to put data centers into space.
We're here every Wednesday because we're powered by an entire newsroom of local journalists following stories across the city. Everything you hear on KUOW, every podcast, every story, every newsletter, every event, it relies on the support of our community.
This week, it's KUOW's spring fundraising drive, and it's a time of year where on air and on our podcasts, we talk about the generosity that keeps KUOW running. Public support has always been the backbone of public media. So here's our ask. Today, we're inviting you to join KUOW as a donor to power this podcast and local news by making a gift.
Giving now is a way to pay it forward for your community, ensuring everyone, not just those who can afford it, has access to high-quality news. Whether it's $5, $10, or $20 a month, your support helps us dig deep, ask tough questions, and spotlight local issues that matter.
And to sweeten the deal, donate $15 a month this week to select a limited edition KUOW zippered tote. It's got original ferry commuter artwork from Hillary Lee, or you could get a pair of KUOW socks. You can relax and put your feet up knowing that you did your part to support this podcast and KUOW.
All you have to do to get started is tap the link in our show notes or visit KUOW.org to make a gift. Thanks for supporting this podcast. Now, on to the show.
It's taken 10 years and almost $4 billion, but at long last, light rail will soon run across Lake Washington.
Sound Transit says the so-called Crosslake Connection over Lake Washington will open March 28th.
Connecting Seattle and the east side after years of delays.
Faster commutes and new opportunities for businesses on both sides of the lake.
This is the most important piece of transportation infrastructure we've built since the 520 bridge was rebuilt in 2016. For people living near the new light rail, it'll mean shorter commutes and faster trips to the airport, sporting events, and public parks.
But it could have an even bigger impact than that. Some say it could lead to an economic renaissance in the region, creating new jobs and new housing opportunities. There is a precedent for that claim. Another bridge in another place that helped the cities on either side become far more prosperous than they were before.
The Malmö region has experienced a surge in new tech firms and innovative medical companies. Increased access to talent due to the bridge is a core driver.
From KUOW in Seattle, this is Booming. I'm Monica Nicholsberg.
And I'm Joshua McNichols. Today, we find out what a bridge in Scandinavia can tell us about our own future.
And whether the Crosslake Connection could bring this region the economic boost it needs. That's coming up.
Any of you guys know when the next train is due? We could go down to the Route 136 bridge.
What are you, crazy? That's 5 miles down the river. You walk 5 miles down the river, you gotta walk 5 miles back. That could take till dark. We go across here, we can get to the same place in 10 minutes.
So, Joshua, I was just at this ribbon cutting for OpenAI's new office in Bellevue. And one thing came up again and again in conversations. Everybody is really excited for light rail across Lake Washington.
Yeah, I hear that all the time, too. There's a lot riding on this thing. Like, maybe it could help downtown Seattle out of its slump that it just can't shake off. Maybe it could allow Bellevue to develop, I don't know, like a nightlife scene that doesn't feel like an upscale hotel lobby or something.
Right.
Claudia Balducci, the King County Council member, recently told me it's all about economic growth.
Fixed rail systems are proven to be economic development generators. And the tech companies, the big tech companies especially, were some of the loudest advocates for us to build this because they know that you attract talent and you attract jobs when you have a transportation system that people enjoy riding.
Okay, I get why tech companies would want this, right? It gives them access to a larger talent pool and it's good for their workers. But what about the rest of us? Can this new light rail connection really boost economic development in Seattle and Bellevue?
Well, I started talking to economists to find out, and they brought up a surprising comparison, one that I'd never heard of. They said, you got to look at this bridge in Copenhagen.
Why?
Well, we are where they were 25 years ago, and economists say we can learn a lot from what happened there.
Okay, interesting. I mean, I know that Seattle has some Scandinavian roots, but I don't necessarily look at this light rail extension and think Copenhagen. So tell me about it.
So this is called the Øresund Bridge, and it links Copenhagen, the capital city of Denmark, with Malmö, a city in Sweden. They sit across from each other, separated by a narrow saltwater strait that's about 3 times the width of Lake Washington. For reference, Copenhagen is about the size of Seattle, population-wise, and Malmö is about the size of Bellevue, Kirkland, and Redmond combined.
Wow, it kind of sounds like a perfect comparison.
Yeah, there are some major differences, like they have different currencies and different languages on either end of this bridge, but they're very similar. The bridge carries 50,000 people a day in trains, which is the same number expected to take the 2 line. That's the one across Lake Washington.
So this Danish bridge has been operating for 25 years. It's a good natural experiment for what could happen here, right? So what have they learned from it?
Well, the Øresund Bridge was part of a plan to revive the Copenhagen and Malmö economies. Before it opened, they were struggling because their shipbuilding industries had collapsed and they lost a bunch of jobs. The bridge created a lot of new possibilities for people on both sides. Swedes living in Malmö suddenly had access to higher-paying jobs in Copenhagen. They brought those higher salaries home to spend, and that helped Malmö's economy. This also helped people on the Danish side. All those extra Swedish workers were great for Copenhagen's economy. Companies in Copenhagen were able to grow faster since they had access to a much larger labor pool. And those workers brought in a lot of money for the city itself since Copenhagen has an income tax. Experts say for every dollar spent building the bridge, the region has gotten back more than $2 in return, just in economic activity. The money paid to expand parks. It also helped pay for childcare, bike lanes, and to expand its subway system.
To be raising a family in Scandinavia.
Yeah, it's a dream. I spoke with an urban planner in Copenhagen.
My name is Helle Søholt. I'm the founding partner of the company KUOW, and KUOW is focusing on making cities for people. I'm also a graduate from University of Washington and lived in Seattle.
Helle says the bridge changed how people see Copenhagen.
The city of Copenhagen has completely transformed and is today one of the most, if not the most livable city in the world. At least it has been ranked so by many different organizations over the past 20 years.
So just to be clear, she's saying that transformation is because of the bridge.
Yes. And she should know. I mean, her urban planning firm opened up the same year that the bridge opened, and her firm has worked with the city on a lot of those improvements that I mentioned earlier. She says the bridge brought in a lot of money, but it also helped in a deeper way. Like, it changed the way that people live. More people can live a car-free lifestyle now in both cities because of all the new housing that sprang up in neighborhoods near transit.
So these connections, they also open up possibilities in ways that we cannot fully grasp or fully sort of calculate. And I think that's maybe the beauty of this. Integration and connection is not only physical, it's actually also opening up our imagination. And that's what I would hope that the bridge in Seattle and Bellevue could do as well.
Okay, so obviously this has done a lot for Copenhagen and Malmo, and maybe we could see that here too. I can see how something like this would generate revenue for cities, and it sounds like it also opens up housing opportunities because there's more places people can live and reasonably commute from. But how does it affect the cost of housing? I'm just thinking about where we live. Someone who works in Bellevue but pays way too much in rent maybe could use light rail to shop for cheaper housing in, I don't know, Shoreline or something.
Yeah. Well, economists say a link like this, it doesn't universally bring down the cost of housing, but it evens out the cost of housing.
What does that mean?
Well, okay, this hypothetical person you mentioned who works in Bellevue but is looking for something cheaper, you mentioned they may find a place in Shoreline instead. Well, that could drive up housing costs a little bit in Shoreline because there's a little bit more demand there. At the same time, that person is no longer competing for housing in Bellevue, so we might expect costs to decrease a little bit there. This is a pattern that economists notice in Copenhagen and Malmo, and they expect to see it here too. This is what I heard from Leah Brooks. She's an economics professor at George Washington University.
So the closer Seattle and Bellevue become as competitors, the easier it is to get between the two places, the more similar we expect their prices to be.
Leah uses a grocery store analogy to explain why that is. Like, imagine your rent is a can of beans.
If only.
Right? And you're shopping for the lowest price.
Two grocery stores that are right next to each other allow you to go in the first grocery store and say, I know that this can of beans is 10 cents cheaper at the other grocery store. I'm just going to go to the other grocery store. Whereas if the other grocery store is a mile away, but the can of beans is 10 cents cheaper, you think, I'm just not going to bother. I'll just get the can of beans here.
So light rail is good at making distances seem shorter.
So it's like bringing those two grocery stores closer together. You're more likely to compare prices in both stores.
Exactly. And Leah says a similar thing happens with salaries in the two places. They tend to even out a little.
That makes sense. People can look at a wider pool of homes and jobs, and that makes the prices more competitive. But there is another type of competition that we've been seeing in Seattle and Bellevue. This is something I've covered a lot. Bellevue has been taking some of Seattle's jobs, and companies like Amazon say that high taxes in Seattle are part of the reason.
Yeah, and the new light rail connection could allow large employers to play our cities against each other. Amazon could say, hey, Seattle, you're taxing us too much. We're going to move more jobs to Bellevue.
I would certainly expect so, because if you think about it, before, Amazon might make that threat, but Seattle might think there's no way all these employees in Seattle are going to make it over to the campus in Bellevue. That's ridiculous. But now it is a more credible threat if Amazon can just say, okay, too bad, Amazon employees, take that train over to Bellevue.
Yeah, I mean, we're already seeing this happen to an extent. It sounds like this new light rail connection would just intensify it.
Especially if it's easier to get to Amazon's headquarters in Bellevue than it was to get to their South Lake Union headquarters, which was a bit of a hike from light rail, to be honest.
Yeah, it's kind of nice that we've reached this point where we can imagine the fun possibilities of light rail, because for so long, I feel like all of the headlines about light rail were about delays and being over budget. This sounds like a real success story, and if we end up with similar results to the Copenhagen example, then it sounds like we might even get a good return on this very large investment that it took to build this.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for your reporting, as always, Joshua. I can't wait to ride the new light rail connection and maybe take a trip to Copenhagen one day.
Yeah, I can't either.
Coming up next, the endgame. We are back with the endgame, and we have our producer, Alec Cowan, here. What do you have for us, Alec?
Well, guys, I mean, the light rail extension over Lake Washington is a long sought-after dream here, one piece of a larger dream of light rail in the future. Listening to you guys, it made me really think about another, I don't even know if it's a dream, a mirage, and that is high-speed rail.
If only we could figure out the technology.
If only.
If only there was somewhere in the world they had figured out how to do high-speed rail.
Maybe in a few hundred years. But I wanted to start, the I-90 bridge here. This is just over a mile and a quarter, of course. I wanted to ask you about the longest high-speed rail lines in the world, the shortest as well. So I've got a list of cities here, and I want to know if you can tell me which one you think is the longest connection via high-speed rail.
Okay, so kind of a geography question.
A little bit of a geography question.
Not my strong suit, but I'm ready.
Okay, so longest high-speed rail line in the world, is it A, Barcelona to Seville, B, Paris to Berlin, C, Beijing to Kunming, or D, Tokyo to Hiroshima?
I'm going to guess the one in Beijing simply because China seems so vast.
I was going to guess Beijing too.
Yeah. That is correct, yeah. Just the sense of scale here is pretty astronomical. Most of the other ones here are around 500 miles long, not an insignificant stretch of rail. The Beijing to Kunming connection is 2,700 kilometers, just over 1,700 miles. How long do you think it takes to complete that train ride?
Let's see. Doing some math, assuming it goes, I don't know, like 200 miles an hour or something.
Yeah, that sounds right. I'm going to just keep piggybacking off of Joshua's answers.
Let's see. So, 2,700 miles.
Back of the napkin math, live in real time.
Okay, all right. While he's doing that, I'm just going to make a wild guess of 4 hours.
Okay, I'm going to guess 10 hours.
Ooh, Joshua, you're always so good at these. 10 to 13 hours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The Amtrak equivalent of doing that same ride would be about 45 to 46 hours. It's roughly the same distance from New Orleans to Los Angeles.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Sounds relaxing.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about the other end of this. The shortest high-speed rail route between two major cities. Is it A, Tokyo to Yokohama, B, Paris to Lyon, C, Rome to Milan, or D, Berlin to Munich?
I would guess Tokyo.
Yeah, I would too, because I don't think Yokohama is that far from it, right?
You are also correct. Yes, it is Tokyo to Yokohama. How long do you think that ride takes?
20 minutes?
30 minutes.
8 minutes.
What?
8 whole minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, our final question here. How long will it take you to get across Lake Washington when the new 2-line opens?
Oh, that is something that I absolutely should know, and I'm not totally confident about it, but I'm going to say 12 minutes.
Yeah, I think from the two stops, 15 minutes?
15 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 15 minutes.
Does that include the stop at Mercer Island?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. Well, we'll be able to write it soon and find out.
There you go.
And still dreaming of high-speed rail one day. Well, thanks, Alec. That was fun.
Cool. Yeah.
That's it for Booming. Thanks so much for listening.
And if you have an idea for something that you think would make a good Booming episode, we would love to hear about it. You can email us at booming@kuow.org, or even better, leave us a voicemail at 206-221-7158.
Yeah, and because this is a product of a public radio station, we're supported by listeners making financial contributions. So if you want to donate to KUOW and to this show, you can go to kuow.org/booming. And thank you to those who already do.
Our producers are Lucy Suchek and Alec Cowan. Our editor is Carol Smith. I'm Monica Nicholsberg.
And I'm Joshua McNichols. We'll see you next time.
Soundside brings you beyond the headlines with news and conversation rooted in the Pacific Northwest. I'm Libby Dankman. Every week I sit down with local journalists for Soundside's Front Page, where we give you a shortcut to understanding the latest news and cultural moments and how they affect us here in the Puget Sound region. It's all here on Soundside, on the radio or streaming Monday through Thursday at noon and 8 p.m. on KUOW, on the KUOW app, or wherever you get your podcasts.